So if you watched the video about Jainism yesterday, then most of this you will recognize or at least go, oh, that sounds familiar. I think they do a pretty good job on the hip Hughes stuff. Jainism started years ago in India, uh, a lot like Hinduism and Buddhism have. Started in India years ago. Their big deal, and the name of Jainism actually comes from the word Jina that they talked about in the video yesterday, which means spiritual victor. Spiritual victor is Jina, and so you're a Jain, meaning you're going to be a spiritual victor through that, kind of like Christianity. Christians follow Christ, and so you kind of see where that comes from. Uh, I never do pronounce this correctly, and every video I watch and every book I've read gives you a different pronunciation. But this is these Tirthankars are their who they follow after. Now there's actually thousands of these, but there's 24 that they know of and follow their teachings. And the whole premise is, if you understood on the video yesterday, the whole premise is uh, that you sort of reach a level that you cross over the river. You cross a bridge, following a life, so that you don't have to keep re-entering the rebirth process and come back as a person or an animal or anything. You've crossed the river by following their teachings, and then they're building a bridge, a ford. It's a ford, like that you're going to build a bridge across a low water creek or river, so that other people, if you follow their teaching, it's kind of like they're the explorers, and you're going to follow after them and say, oh, take their path. They figured out a way to cross the river, and they're going to build it for you. So they do believe in rebirth, that you come back. They do believe in karma. Again, this is very similar to Buddhism and Hinduism. Of course, started in very similar area there in India, and they all sort of mixed together for centuries and millennia. And there's almost like different sects, but they obviously have very different teaching. They do believe in a level of nirvana, and that is once you've crossed that river. So again, very similar to Buddhism and Hinduism and their teaching. So the Tirthankaras, you follow them, and they'll build the bridge, and you cross over. And they don't want to be rebirth. They want to reach a level they never have to do that again, and you sort of become a spiritual being at that point, and you reach moksha, which is the guy said in the video. If you watched it like 4,000 times, so hopefully you haven't forgotten this, moksha. But free soul from the body basically is what moksha is. You're going to free the soul from the body, so because the earthly body is just so fragile, and again, sort of similar to our soul, to our eternity. We're so fragile and so weak and so sinful that once you reach moksha, which is sort of their level of nirvana, then you've made it to the highest level. They don't believe in a supreme God, like as a creator. They obviously do believe there's powers because of the Tirthankaras and reaching moksha and all these kind of things. So there's no supreme God, even though there's godly influences, but there's no God that you bow down to, no creator. All things were and sort of come into existence. It's almost like they believe that we're a figment of some spiritual being's imagination, like we don't really exist. Okay, so is your mind blown now? I get it. It's almost like none of this is real, almost like a matrix kind of thing going on. It is true, the swastika, if you watch the video, the swastika is their symbol. Swastika actually means good fortune. That's what the original symbol means. And I thought they did a really good job. It's one of the reasons I chose that video, of explaining why the swastika, because it means 4 different things. It's 4 entry points. If you can see to the center, and depending on where you're coming from, 4 different types of beings coming into the center, meaning good fortune. Sadly, of course, the Nazi regime and Hitler all changed all the symbol of that, and now it's a symbol of hatred and genocide, sadly. Their three jewels. This is the three jewels of their belief, of their faith, belief, knowledge, and conduct. And this is not unusual. Again, very philosophical of what you believe, and then you gain knowledge because of that, sort of like a faith, and then you act according to that. So the three jewels that are actually represented by the dots on their pillar of belief there, along with the swastika, are there three jewels: belief, knowledge, and conduct. They are non-violent. They don't believe in violence. So much so, did you see that they would sweep, trying not to step on bugs or anything else? They wear masks, not because of the coronavirus pandemic, but because they wear a mask because they don't want to they don't want bugs flying in their mouth and harm the bugs, not worry about themselves. Also don't want to spread germs, which is good. So they a lot of times wear a mask, not always. Obviously more Jains in our country more are not going to do all of these things. But again, this is kind of where they're coming from. And they do believe that all living things possess a soul. And so they're big on taking care of, they're going to be, they're going to be vegetarians and vegans, and they're going to try to leave minimal footprint. And so that goes back to all living things possessing a soul. They're not going to eat anything. So much so that they'll go to the point that they won't even eat like potatoes, like root vegetables, because they believe they're destroying them. And they because they're a living thing, they possess a soul. So the minimal footprint sounds really cool these days. You can see where a lot of people in the States, you go, well, man, I've got a friend, they must be a Jain because they're vegan or vegetarian and they believe in minimal footprint, which I think we all should sort of lean towards on the minimal footprint. I think we're leaving way too big a footprint these days with our big old cars and all the things, power and energies that we're using. And we need to take better care of the environment. But that doesn't mean people are Jains. But you can see why that draws some of today's world to Jainism because of these kind of teachings. So I don't know that living that way, vegetarian, vegan, or minimal footprint, is necessarily religion, but it is a big part of their religion. So you can see how some people kind of picking and choosing, and they're like, "Ooh, I'm a Jain because of these things," but they don't accept all of it. So it's sort of a buffet kind of draw. And that's the same reason we talk about Baha'i, gathering a lot of people, Baha'i being accepting all religions and all gods and teachings. Well, that people that are big on coexistence of religions, and I understand that. That's what draws them. Jains are drawn to it because of the way they live their life. And so this is Jainism. I know they all sort of run together. We'll do Sikhism tomorrow, but they all kind of run together. But we'll kind of sift it all out, and I think you'll get the biggest parts of it, and I'll get you reviewed, so make sure you know your stuff. That is Jainism.